doing well. Thank you for speaking with me today. Tell me a little bit about how you got started in the cannabis industry. What really brought you to the plant?
Yeah, so it was my mother, which is a fun, shocking story. So I always say that DARE worked for me. I didn't try cannabis in high school, college. I was in my early 30s. My mom was in Colorado, and her church group was talking about a new cannabis facility that was coming, and they wanted the church's opinion on building, I guess. My mom got involved on the committee and was like, you should try out this weed stuff. You are so tightly strung that this might really help, with your anxiety and with your sleep issues. And so I tried it when I was in my early 30s. And then I got a medical card. Legalization was around the corner. And I was like, oh, I think for the green rush, they'll need marketers, unlike the tech rush where they really wanted engineers. I wrote 2 companies. I wrote Bloom Farms and I wrote Papa Barkley. And Papa Barkley wrote back, and I joined 2 weeks later. We were making crock-pot product in the crock-pot. The next 36 months, we went from a few $100s to 35 million. I was the chief marketing officer there and did everything from launching products to branding. No one would take our money at the time. So there was no ad agencies. You really had to just do it. And then a year ago, I was like, you know what? I kind of want to do something for myself and have multiple streams of revenue. So I started a consulting practice. And then I also have Frigg, which is a beauty line that launched a month ago.
You were, as their chief marketing officer, first Black chief marketing officer in the industry. Tell us what that is like, and tell us about, it's one thing to be a member of the Black community. It's another thing to be a woman in a man's industry. Tell us what it was like bringing the two and just trying to, get started in this industry or help this company be forward thinking. Tell us a little bit about your experience.
There were so many factors that were working, that was to overcome. I was a woman, I was Black, but I was also conservative. So I come from a conservative Christian family. So I've never seen my family drink alcohol. We do not cuss. You follow all the rules. And then immediately you're thrusted into this situation where, I look around and my team members were the ones who were selling when they were in high school and rule breakers inherently. And so I was sitting there well, let's take emails and let's write notes and being very proper. And I knew one of the founders kind of didn't think I could do it because I was too corporate and too new to cannabis. And they're big dudes. So I remember every time, they wanted to dab or do anything, I was dab for these 300-pound men because I wanted to fit in. You are working so hard, such long hours, and in the beginning, you're also doing it while consuming, and that kind of puts your guard down. And the people I wanted to be around just didn't happen to be 60-something men. So that was really more the social aspect of it was just okay, I have to figure out how I want to play on a social level, because that is a big key of cannabis and being successful is who you know. And so I had to navigate the relationships I naturally wanted were kind of with women, but none of the women had power or money. And that was a struggle in the beginning, but then I just focused on my love of the plant and what I was looking to accomplish. And then everything just fell into place.
So what was it like going from the unregulated market in 2016 when you started in the industry to getting into the permitted and regulated side of the industry?
It was so stressful because at the time, lawyers didn't even really know and were unhelpful. I remember so many lawyers who would, if they would take the work, would be well, it's federally illegal. You could write that, but federally illegal, it wasn't helpful that you had to be your own lawyer. Regulators were also learning what to do. So common sense was kind of even if you are not following the rules, how are they going to know? So like it was this crazy time of everyone not really knowing what the consequences would be and then you were going up against like, well, this is what this sentence means. And then someone else would be like, no, this is what this sentence means. I won't take your product.
When it comes to working with a brand, what's some of the consulting advice you can give them on being either more inclusive, giving back to the community, focusing on core values? I mean, these are really important for a lot of conscious consumers that want to buy from Black founded companies, Latinx founded companies. You know, they want to be responsible with their dollar. What are your thoughts on brands in the industry and, you know, the movement to be a conscious consumer, and how can a brand work towards that? I know it's kind of a wide question and it's all over, but I mean, how can brands be better? That's really what it boils down to.
I mean, I think it's about having a heartbeat and having that heartbeat at the very beginning of the process and then having that emanate out. I think it's hard to go backwards and like stick a Band-Aid on things. I think it's about being authentic to your true self. The challenge is when no one in the executive team, like their authenticity is not that conscious. That's where like it gets rough, and then you're just like, let's give money to some organization. If you gave money one time to one org, cool, pat on the back, but it is not going to resonate and be part of your brand DNA, and it's not going to have an impact. True of service brands and conscious brands, it's all touch points. You can't give $100,000 to a sustainability effort and then have so much plastic and not think about like what the packaging looks like, not think about how you guys travel as a team, not think about the swag that you give out that will just go into the, like every touch point needs to ladder back up. And so that's where it starts. It's the heartbeat, it's the core values, and then seeing how it emanates out from product to processes to packaging to what you support. I don't think giving money away is going to help. And I think what we've seen is oftentimes people give money to the same organization because it's easy to remember or say. The consumer can tell. So if you're going to do it, I think it's one of those things you have to do all in and be 360 about it.
When it comes to individuals that are trying to get into the cannabis industry, social equity applicants, have you worked with many, and what is that process like as a consultant to work with a client that is, you know, has been historically disproportionately underserved? I mean, we take these individuals that were arrested, that have felonies on their records, and then we're saying, okay, you can move to the front of the line. When you want a dispensary, let's move your application to the front of the line. However, the majority of these social equity applicants don't have deep pockets like investors on Wall Street. Then you get the investors that come in and they say, oh, well, you know, you have the license, I have the funding, you know, I want 49%, because as we've seen, a lot of investors have taken the majority equity, which just completely, you know, defeats the purpose of this program. Have you, as a consultant, worked with social equity applicants, and what has that experience been like trying to help bring them to the table?
I haven't worked with that many social equity licenses because the ones that I know in LA haven't actually been able to get to market because it's been more of a, what I would call a modern day sort of sharecropping experience. In the sense, to your point, where they're put on a project to get the license, but then they're not really in the business. I just discover along the way, oh, we have a social equity license, but there'd be no indication to me that like they came from an underrepresented group or had been impacted by the war on drugs. Now, I am a mentor of a program that's actually launching this week. This is called This Is Our Dream, building up skill sets and pairing social equity license holders with mentors in the industry, all C-suite. And so that's really been one of the efforts of how do we give people the skills and the access? Because money, from my perspective, as it relates to sort of all these sort of outreach programs of like, we want to support Black founders or women founders, etc. I have found the gatekeeping to be the bigger hurdle than the money, which is hard to get your mind around because the money is like a really big deal. There's the networking, and then there's these people who have inner circles and they can just do deals with each other and set programs up, and they're getting favorable terms and they're working together collaboratively. And what I think needs to happen is like, we need to cross that chasm and gatekeeping becomes a very important aspect in the equation. And I'm not sure that we've set a lot of these social equity applicants up for success, either on a criteria aspect or in a reality of how business works. And I'm not going to confess to say that I have the solution for this. I just know that like money and a PowerPoint on marketing is not it. Like, I need a connection to the CMO of whatever the hot company is. And like, I know we can throw together a co-op marketing plan. Like, I need access in addition to the money.
For people that are watching this video, how can they get involved? If they want to either be a part of this group that you're launching this week, or they want to get in touch with you, what is the best way that they can, get on the radar?
Yeah, so for the Academy, which actually just the first cohort, the applications closed, but you can also find me at Kimberly K. Dillon on Instagram and on LinkedIn. I'm pretty connected there. And then if you would like to check out my new beauty brand, it's called Frigg, and you can see that at Get Frigg on Instagram. And the URL is also getfrigg.com. And if you want to follow along on the equity training that is happening, that Instagram is thisis.ourdream on Instagram. I think they had over 300 applications, which is pretty amazing. And you could also go to thisisourdream.com for more information. Because the idea is to have cohorts of this in an ongoing way, and then also, at scale to take it to other states.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you talking with me. I think we covered a lot of bases here. We talked marketing, we talked social responsibility, and it was a pleasure meeting you and making your acquaintance. So thank you so much.
Well, this has been great. Thank you so much.